The night shift at Earth's Deep Space Listening Post 7 was usually quiet. Most operators spent their time watching endless streams of data, searching for any sign of life among the stars. But tonight was different. Tom Reed sat up straight in his chair as an unusual pattern flashed across his screen. At first, he thought it was just another pulsar signal or random space noise, but something about this one seemed different. The pattern repeated itself with perfect precision, too orderly to be natural. "Dr. Walker," Tom called out, his voice slightly shaky. "You might want to see this." James Walker had been working at the listening post for 15 years, but he'd never seen anything like this before. The signal wasn't just a simple pattern. It was complex, layered, and seemed to carry information. His hands moved quickly across the keyboard, running the signal through various analysis programs. "Where's it coming from?" he asked, his eyes fixed on the screen. Tom checked the coordinates. "That's the strange part, sir. It's coming from Galaxy M87, but..." He paused, double-checking his readings. The signal characteristics suggest it's billions of years old. Walker frowned. That shouldn't have been possible. Radio waves degraded over time and distance. A signal this clear, this old, shouldn't exist. "Get me the director on the line," he said quietly. Within hours, the quiet listening post transformed into a hub of activity. Scientists from various departments crowded around monitors, arguing theories and running tests. The signal continued to pulse steadily, like a lighthouse beacon across time and space. Director Mary Thompson stood at the back of the room, watching her team work. She'd already made a dozen calls to various government agencies and research institutions. This discovery was too big for one facility to handle alone. "What do we know so far?" she asked Walker, who hadn't left his station since the signal's discovery. He rubbed his tired eyes. "It's artificial. No doubt about that. The signal contains embedded data, lots of it. But here's the truly fascinating part." He turned to face her. "It's using universal constants as a basis for communication. Whoever sent this wanted to make absolutely sure it could be understood by anyone who found it. How long until we can decode it? We've already started. The basic mathematical principles are clear, but the full message will take time. However," Walker pulled up a new screen, "we've managed to decode one small fragment. It appears to be some kind of warning." The director leaned closer to read the partial translation. "Asterisk danger. Responsibility. Protect asterisk." Those 3 words, simple yet powerful, were just the beginning. As the team worked through the night, more fragments emerged. They spoke of a civilization long gone, of choices made and consequences faced. But most importantly, they spoke of a duty that this ancient race had somehow failed to fulfill. By morning, Walker's team had confirmed something else. The signal wasn't just broadcasting from anywhere in M87. It was coming from what appeared to be the remains of an artificial structure, one so massive it could only have been built by a civilization far more advanced than humanity. "It's like they left us a message in a bottle," Tom said, still at his post after working through the night. "But why? Why go to all this trouble?" Walker stared at the stream of data, still flowing in after billions of years. "I think," he said slowly, "they're trying to prevent someone else from making the same mistakes they did." As the sun rose over the listening post, none of the scientists and researchers knew that this discovery would change humanity's path forever. The message from a dead galaxy would lead humanity to its greatest test and its greatest triumph. But for now, in the early hours of this historic morning, they simply worked, decoding more fragments of a message that had waited billions of years to be found. Each new piece they translated only raised more questions and hinted at responsibilities they couldn't yet understand. The signal continued to pulse, steady and strong, carrying its ancient message across the vast reaches of space. Asterisk never stopped protecting the weak asterisk. 3 weeks after the signal's discovery, the Global Space Research Center had become the busiest place on Earth. Scientists from every continent worked in shifts, trying to unlock the secrets hidden within the ancient message. Dr. Walker hadn't gone home in days. He sat in the main translation room, surrounded by screens showing star maps and strange symbols. Captain Lisa Stone, newly assigned by the Space Defense Force, stood beside him, watching the team's work. "Show me what you found," she said, her voice carrying the authority of someone used to making quick decisions. Walker nodded and pulled up the latest translations. "The message isn't just text," he explained, pointing to the moving patterns on the screen. "It's a complete database. Star maps, recordings, and what looks like a historical archive." On the main screen, strange symbols transformed into English text. The computer had finally cracked another major portion of the message. Asterisk, "We watched them die. Again and again. We had the power to help, but we chose to observe. This was our greatest shame." Asterisk. "They're talking about other civilizations," Lisa said, leaning closer to read. "They found other species." Walker nodded and pulled up another decoded section. A star map appeared, showing hundreds of marked locations. Each of these points represents a civilization they discovered. Most were primitive, just beginning to develop technology. The ancient race chose not to interfere with their development. Tom Reed, who had been promoted to lead data analyst after discovering the signal, joined them with a fresh batch of translations. "You need to see this," he said, his face serious. "We've decoded their records of what happened to those civilizations." The screens filled with data. Chart after chart showed the same pattern. Civilizations discovered, observed, and then nothing. Extinction events, invasions, natural disasters, hundreds of species gone forever. "They could have helped," Lisa said quietly, reading through the records. "They had the technology, the knowledge. They could have saved them all." Walker brought up another translation. Asterisk, "Our power meant nothing because we lacked the courage to use it. We watched predator races destroy the weak. We observed natural disasters wipe out promising civilizations. We had the technology to prevent it all, but we feared interfering would make us responsible for their future." Asterisk. The room grew quiet as more translations appeared. The ancient race had been powerful beyond imagination, capable of traveling between galaxies, but their policy of strict observation had slowly destroyed them from within. The guilt of watching so many preventable deaths had eaten away at their society. "There's more," Tom said, pulling up a new set of coordinates. They left detailed maps, locations of current developing civilizations, predicted threats, everything we'd need to do what they couldn't," Lisa finished. "They're not just confessing their failures. They're giving us a chance to do better." Walker nodded slowly. "The final part of this section is clear. Listen to this. Asterisk, to those who find this message. We give you our knowledge, our maps, our technology. But more importantly, we give you our greatest lesson. Power without compassion is meaningless. Knowledge without action is empty. We died knowing we could have made the galaxy a better place, but chose not to." Asterisk. The team worked through the night, translating more details about the civilizations that needed protection. The ancient race had mapped them all, predicting which ones would face threats and when. As morning approached, Captain Stone received an urgent message. The Space Defense Force had approved the construction of humanity's first deep space vessel, designed specifically for interstellar travel. "They're calling it the Guardian," she told Walker. "Seems fitting, doesn't it?" Walker looked at the star maps, each point representing a civilization that might need help. "They spent their entire existence watching," he said. "Maybe it's time someone took action instead." The ancient message continued to play, its contents slowly revealing a galaxy full of both danger and hope. Humanity had a choice to make, and unlike their predecessors, they were already preparing to act. The Guardian moved silently through space, its advanced engines powered by technology learned from the ancient message. Captain Stone stood on the bridge, watching the strange stars of a distant system grow larger on the main screen. "Status report," she called out to her crew. "We're approaching the coordinates from the star maps," Tom Reed answered from his station. After helping decode the message, he had insisted on joining the mission. The fourth planet shows signs of civilization, just as the ancient race predicted. Dr. Walker looked up from his instruments. Primitive technology, similar to Earth's early industrial age. But there's something else. He adjusted his sensors. Multiple objects entering the atmosphere. They're not natural. The crew watched as dark shapes descended toward the planet's surface. The ancient message had warned them about this predator species that hunted developing civilizations. They had arrived just as predicted. "Show me the surface," Stone ordered. The screen changed to show a world of rolling plains and scattered forests. The native species, dubbed the runners by the crew, were tall, peaceful beings who lived in small communities. Now they were running from the dark ships that filled their skies. "They're being hunted," Tom said quietly. "Just like the message showed us. Just like all the others who died while the ancient race watched." Stone stood from her chair. The Guardian was bigger than the Predator ships, but they didn't know its full combat capabilities yet. This would be humanity's first interstellar battle, and they were about to fight an enemy that had been doing this for centuries. "Dr. Walker, what are our options?" Walker studied the tactical display. "The Predators, the Stalkers, have better weapons, but they've never faced Earth tactics before. They're used to hunting helpless prey, not fighting an organized defense." "Then let's show them something new," Stone said. She opened a channel to all stations. "This is what we came for. This is why we built this ship. Prepare for combat operations." The Guardian's crew moved with purpose. They had trained for this moment, studied the ancient records of similar attacks. They knew what to do. Stone's voice was firm as she gave orders. "Launch our drones. Create a barrier between the stalkers and the runner settlements. Activate our shield technology. Let's show them we can protect others as well as ourselves." The battle began quickly. The stalker ships, confused by this unexpected resistance, tried to continue their attack. But the Guardian's Earth-designed tactics surprised them at every turn. While the stalkers had advanced weapons, they had never faced an enemy that used strategy and deception. The Guardian's drones created false targets, its shields protected runner settlements, and its weapons struck with careful precision. On the surface, the runners watched in wonder as strange new ships fought their attackers. They had never seen anyone stand up to the stalkers before. "They're retreating," Tom announced as the dark ships pulled back. "They're not used to prey that fights back." But Stone knew this was just the beginning. "Land near the largest runner settlement," she ordered. "It's time to meet them properly." The Guardian settled gently on the grassy plain. Through the view screens, they could see crowds of runners gathering to watch, their tall forms moving gracefully despite their earlier panic. "Remember," Walker said as they prepared to exit the ship, "we're not here to rule them or advance them too quickly. We're here to protect them while they develop on their own." Stone nodded. The ancient message had taught them the importance of finding the right balance, not ignoring developing species, but not controlling them either. As the Guardian's doors opened, Stone thought about the long-dead civilization whose message had brought them here. They had watched and recorded. Humanity would watch and act. The runners approached cautiously, their large eyes filled with curiosity rather than fear. Today would mark the beginning of something new, not just for this species, but for all those who needed protection in the galaxy. 2 months after their first encounter, the fields around the Guardian had transformed into a training ground. Captain Stone watched as her crew taught basic defense tactics to groups of runners. Their tall, graceful forms moved with increasing confidence as they learned. "They're quick learners," Tom said, standing beside her. He had developed a simple communication system that helped bridge the language gap between humans and runners. "They've already mastered most of our basic defense strategies." A warning alarm suddenly blared from the Guardian. Dr. Walker's voice came through their communicators. "Multiple stalker ships detected. Bigger fleet this time. They're coming back for revenge." Stone had expected this. The stalkers wouldn't give up their hunting grounds easily. "Get everyone to their positions," she ordered. Time to put our training to the test. The sky darkened as 30 stalker ships entered the atmosphere, 3 times as many as before. But this time, the runners didn't run. They moved with purpose, following the plans they had practiced. "Launch our new defense systems," Stone commanded as she reached the Guardian's bridge. The ship's computers had been upgraded with knowledge from the ancient message, blended with human innovation. Walker worked at his station, coordinating with runner observers who now kept watch from hidden posts around their settlements. "The stalkers are spreading out, trying to surround us." "Perfect," Stone smiled. "They're following the pattern we predicted. Signal the runners to activate the ground defenses." Across the plains, hidden devices powered up. These weren't weapons. They were shield generators, built using a mix of Earth technology and knowledge from the ancient message. The runners had helped place them, understanding their importance. The stalkers attacked with overwhelming force, expecting to find the same single ship they had faced before. Instead, their weapons hit invisible barriers. Their sensors, confused by devices Tom had designed, showed targets that weren't there. "They're breaking formation," Walker reported, "just like Earth fighters would when their plans fail." Stone nodded. "Launch our drones. Show them what happens when predators become prey." Hundreds of small drones, piloted by both humans and trained runners, swarmed from hidden underground bases. The stalkers, used to fighting large ships, found themselves against targets too small and quick to hit. The battle raged across the sky. The stalkers' superior weapons meant nothing against enemies they couldn't hit. Their frustrated roars, picked up by the Guardian sensors, showed their growing fear. "Look," Tom pointed to the screen. "The runners are using the landscape exactly like we taught them." Groups of runners appeared and disappeared among the hills and forests, drawing stalker ships into prepared traps. When the ships flew low to attack, they found their engines tangled in simple but clever devices the runners had built. "Send the message now," Stone ordered. Walker transmitted the carefully prepared words to the stalker fleet. "This planet is under protection. Your hunting days are over. Leave now or face destruction." To emphasize the point, the Guardian revealed its main weapon, technology from the ancient message that could disable any ship's power systems. 2 stalker ships fell from the sky, caught by shield nets that prevented them from crashing. The effect was immediate. The remaining stalker ships retreated, leaving their stranded companions behind. They had never faced defeat before, never had to run from their prey. As the sky cleared, cheers erupted from the runner settlements. They had stood their ground. They had fought back. They had won. "This changes everything," Walker said, looking at the celebration below. "Other species will hear about this. The stalkers will learn they're not invincible." Stone watched as humans and runners worked together to secure the captured stalker ships. "The ancient race thought observation was enough," she said, "but sometimes you have to stand and fight for others." The Guardian stood proud on the battlefield, its mission a success. But this was just the beginning. Somewhere out there, other species needed protection. Other bullies needed to learn that the galaxy had changed. The age of standing by and watching was over. The age of protection had begun. 6 months after the Great Battle, the runner's world had changed in amazing ways. Captain Stone stood in the new control center, built together by humans and runners. Through its windows, she could see the Guardian and 3 other Earth ships that had joined their mission. Another distress signal, Tom reported from his station, which he now shared with a runner assistant. "Third one this month. Word is spreading about what we did here." Dr. Walker entered the room, followed by the runner leader, who they called First Guide. The tall alien moved with natural grace, wearing a simple translator device that Tom had designed. "Our observers have found 2 more developing worlds in nearby systems," First Guide said, pointing to a star map. "They faced the same dangers we once did." Stone studied the map. After their victory over the stalkers, the runners had quickly learned to use Earth technology. They weren't just accepting protection anymore. They were ready to help protect others. "The stalkers aren't the only predators out there," Walker added, bringing up images from the ancient message. But now we know how to fight them. And more importantly, we know how to teach others to fight them. First guide moved to the main screen, its long fingers tracing the path between stars. My people were afraid for so long. We watched the sky in fear. Now we watch it with purpose. We can help others as you helped us. The room grew quiet as a new signal appeared on the screens. Another Earth ship, the Protector, had arrived carrying scientists, teachers, and engineers. Humanity had fully committed to their new role in the galaxy. Show them what we've built, Stone told First Guide with a smile. The screens displayed images from around the runner's world. New buildings rose beside traditional runner homes, blending their styles perfectly. Young runners trained alongside human teachers, learning not just defense, but science, medicine, and spaceflight. The ancient race was wrong, Walker said, reviewing data from their latest surveys. Helping others doesn't mean controlling them. Look at what the runners have achieved in just 6 months, growing at their own pace, keeping their own culture. Tom pulled up another screen showing the captured stalker ships. And we've learned too. Each species brings new ideas, new ways of thinking. The runner's natural grace and understanding of movement helped us improve our shield designs. First Guide's large eyes showed what humans had learned to recognize as pride. And now we are ready for the next step. My people wish to join your protection mission. We want to help find and protect others, as you protected us. Stone nodded. This was what they had hoped for, not just protecting others, but teaching them to protect themselves and join the mission. A cycle of protection and growth, completely different from the ancient race's policy of watching and recording. We've received reports, Walker added, that some stalker groups have stopped hunting. They've seen what happened here. They know that prey can become protectors. The screen suddenly lit up with new signals, more distress calls, more developing worlds asking for help. But now they weren't facing these challenges alone. Earth ships, runner observers, and their growing alliance of protected species were ready to respond. Tell the other ships to prepare for departure, Stone ordered. First Guide, is your crew ready? The runner leader stood tall. My people have chosen their path. We will join you among the stars, finding others who need protection. The hunters made us strong by forcing us to survive. You made us stronger by teaching us to protect. As the sun set on the runner's world, ships from 2 species prepared to leave together. The ancient message had warned them about the dangers of inaction. Now, they were writing a new message across the galaxy. No one had to face the darkness alone anymore. The time of watching was over. The time of protection had begun. In the heart of the Guardian, Dr. Walker stared at his screen in disbelief. After a year of protecting other species and building alliances, they had finally decoded the last part of the ancient message. What he read shook him to his core. Captain Stone, he called through the ship's comm system. You need to see this. Now. Stone arrived at the science lab minutes later, followed by Tom and First Guide. The runner leader had become a permanent part of their crew, a symbol of their successful alliance. What did you find? Stone asked, noting the serious look on Walker's face. Walker took a deep breath. We thought we had the full story from the ancient race. We were wrong. He pulled up the newly decoded message on the main screen. This is their true final confession. The words appeared, translated into simple English. Asterisk, we were not just observers. We were once like you. Protectors, defenders of the weak. Our empire spanned 3 galaxies. We saved thousands of species, helped them grow, taught them to protect others. We created a golden age of peace and growth. Asterisk. I don't understand, Tom said. If they were successful protectors, what went wrong? Walker moved to the next part of the message. Asterisk, but we grew proud. We began to think we knew best. Protection became control. Help became interference. The species we protected became dependent on us. When they tried to make their own choices, we stopped them for their own good. Asterisk. First Guide's large eyes showed understanding. Like parents who never let their children grow. Exactly. Walker nodded. Listen to this next part. Asterisk our pride destroyed everything we built. Species rebelled against our control. Our own people split into factions. Those who wanted to keep controlling, and those who wanted to step back completely. The rebels destroyed our empire. And in our shame, the survivors chose to never interfere again. Asterisk. Stone sat down heavily in a chair. So when they watched species die, it wasn't their first choice, Walker finished. It was their punishment for themselves. They went from one extreme to the other, from controlling everything to helping no one. The next part of the message filled the screen. Asterisk, we thought there were only two choices, control everything or do nothing. We were wrong. As we watch your species discover this message, we see you finding the middle path we never could. You protect without controlling. You teach without forcing. You give others the strength to make their own choices. Asterisk. Tom looked at First Guide. That's why they left the message. Not just to warn us about the dangers of inaction, but to warn us about the dangers of too much control. First Guide finished. My people have grown stronger because you let us grow our own way. The final part of the message appeared. Asterisk our last act is this message, hidden in a way that only a species with the right balance of wisdom and courage could find it. If you discover this, it means you have the potential to succeed where we failed. Learn from both our mistakes, the mistake of controlling others, and the mistake of abandoning them. Asterisk. Stone stood up, her mind racing with the implications. Every species we've helped has grown in their own way, Walker said. The runners became graceful defenders. The shore people of the water world developed unique underwater protection systems. The mountain dwellers created their own style of aerial defense. First Guide moved to the star map showing all their allied worlds. Because you did not force them to follow one path. You showed them how to find their own strength. As they watched, new signals appeared on the map. More species reaching out for help, more worlds ready to join their growing alliance. So what do we do with this knowledge? Tom asked quietly. Stone looked at her crew, human and runner together, each bringing their own strengths. We keep doing what we're doing. We protect, we teach, we help. But we never forget both parts of the warning. Protection without control. Help without interference. The ancient message had shown them the middle path. Now it was up to them to walk it. 5 years had passed since humanity found the ancient message. The observation room of Earth's new space defense headquarters offered a perfect view of the bustling spaceport below, where ships from 24 different species came and went. Captain Stone, now Admiral Stone, stood at the window watching a runner ship teach formation flying to a group of newer allies. Dr. Walker and Tom worked at their stations, monitoring reports from across the protected worlds. Another stalker group has asked to join the alliance, Tom announced, his screen showing the formal request. That makes 5 hunter species who've chosen to become protectors instead. Walker smiled at the news. They're learning that there's more honor in protecting than hunting. First Guide entered the room, followed by representatives from 3 other species, the water-dwelling shore people, the winged mountain dwellers, and even a reformed stalker captain. Each had found their own way to contribute to the alliance. The Protector Initiative has passed all expectations, First Guide said, displaying statistics on the main screen. 100 developing worlds under protection. 200 species learning to defend themselves and others. 1,000 prevented attacks. Stone nodded with pride. And not one species forced to follow another's path, each finding their own way to grow stronger. The stalker captain, who now called himself Shield, stepped forward. My people once thought strength meant having power over others. You taught us it means having the power to help others. Speaking of help, the shore person bubbled through their translator. Our underwater defense systems have been adapted by 3 more ocean worlds. They modify our designs to fit their own needs. Walker brought up an image of the original ancient message that had started everything. They would be proud, I think. Their final warning helped us find the right path. Not just find it, the mountain dweller trilled, but share it. Each new species brings new ideas, new ways of thinking about protection. Tom's screen lit up with fresh reports. The new defense network is complete. We can now detect and respond to threats across all protected sectors. And the training centers? Stone asked. First guide moved to a different display, operating on 20 worlds, each one teaching protection methods in ways that fit the local culture. The water worlds learned from the shore people. The flying species learned from the mountain dwellers. Even my people have found that our grace and agility offer unique lessons to others. Shield looked out at the ships flying in formation. And the hunters who choose to reform learn from my people how to turn their aggressive instincts toward protection instead of predation. Stone touched the window, remembering the first battle they had fought to protect the runners. We've come so far from that first day. And yet, there's still so much to do, Walker finished. The galaxy is vast. Many species still need help. The room fell quiet as a new signal appeared on the main screen. Another developing civilization had been found, facing its first threats from space. They're calling for help, Tom reported. Like we once did, when we looked up at the stars and wondered if we were alone. Stone looked at the gathered representatives. Human, runner, shore person, mountain dweller, and reformed stalker. Each had grown stronger by helping others grow. Each had found their own way to contribute. Send the response, she ordered. Tell them they're not alone anymore. No one has to be alone in this galaxy ever again. As ships from a dozen species prepared to answer the call, Stone thought about the ancient race whose final message had changed everything. They had learned from both extremes of their history, the dangers of controlling others, and the shame of abandoning them. But humanity and its allies had found the middle path. Protect, but don't control. Help, but don't interfere. Teach, but let each species learn in their own way. The last message of a dead galaxy had become the first chapter of a new story, a story of unity without uniformity, strength without subjugation, protection without pride. And somewhere, in the vast reaches of space, the ancient race's final warning continued to pulse among the stars, waiting for others who might need its wisdom. Asterisk learn from our mistakes, find the balance, and never stop protecting the weak asterisk.